Hey guys, how's it going? Matt from Foul Ball Productions here. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I hope that you're doing well. I'm doing great. Thank you so very much. So Castlevania, the new season is out. New season of Castlevania just came out, I guess, recently. Season 4. Castlevania is a fan. Castlevania is a show that I've been a fan of for a while. I've been a fan of since I think the second season came out. I popped it on and burned through the second, all the way through into the second season before I even realized that I had watched that, because I guess the first season's only like 5 episodes long. So the second season just bled right into it. I didn't even know I was watching it. So it's a show I'm a huge fan of. I love it, and I have loved it since I started watching it. And I loved season 3, and I've been excited about this show pretty much ever since. It's a really well written show, I feel. Although I've been rewatching it, and I've noticed there is a lot of dialogue issues where characters are just explaining things to other characters that those characters would already know. So to me, that's not necessarily the greatest writing, but what I do like is the dialogue. I like the settings, and I like the planning and the plotting. Yusef Belakhdar. Hi, is season 4 out yet? Yes, it just came out, Yusef. Just came out, and I just watched the first episode a minute ago. And I was gonna talk about it. Gonna have a little conversation about Castlevania. But I was getting into like what I really liked about the show, and what I like about the show is like the politics of it. I like that in season 1 and 2, there's this infighting amongst the vampires in Dracula's coven, and how, like, he wants to take over the world, or wants to destroy the human race. But there's kind of like infighting, and some of the vampires are not really all about it. And then there's like the 2 humans who have their own prerogative, and the one guy's super loyal, the one guy not so much. And I really enjoy the show, and I think it offers a lot of really interesting stuff. I don't notice any modern day politics in it whatsoever, which is like breath of fresh air. Breath of fresh air. I think it's a really well-written show. And what's it? Warren Ellis, the comic book creator, has a big hand in it. Now, my understanding is maybe he's not as involved in the second and third season as he was in the first. I'm not really sure. It still says written by, but I don't know. But I like whoever is involved with it. I'm a big fan. I think Castlevania kicks ass. I like it. So I just watched the new episode, season 4, episode 1. I'll say I liked it. Didn't love it. It wasn't like it was bad. I enjoyed what I watched, but I kind of felt like the first part with Belmont, Trevor, and the girl, Sypha, where they were kind of just having battle after battle of things that weren't necessarily all that engaging. It was, cool. Trevor's using the Morning Star, and Sypha's using like her powers and stuff, which is all dope. I personally prefer when there's a little more story attached to action. See The Expanse for examples of action that's attached to story that really has a dramatic impact. I think if you're just sort of throwing action at the screen without any kind of emotional pull, I don't know. For me, that doesn't really work that well. And so I thought they were doing a little bit of that to start the show off, which is okay. But I think they're kind of catching their groove, starting the season off right. What I did like was all the stuff at the end of the episode with Alucard back at the castle. I liked that a lot. I was like, okay, cool. This feels like the show. The Nerdporial Life Form. Hail. Hello, sir. Did I see your 100 sub video? No, I did not. But congratulations on your 100 subs. That's a big, what's called milestone there. Anyone who's interested in the Nerdporial Life Form, go check him out. He's a good guy. Getting to 100 subs. I swear to God, man, that took me a long time. I'll have to go check that out, brother, when I get get an opportunity. But congratulations, man. That's great. That's a big deal. Big deal. But so the show, the one thing when I started this, I watched the recap and I was like, oh, interesting. Right. I didn't have it all kind of exactly memorized. Their Portal Life Form says, I thought Castlevania ended season 2 when they killed Dracula. Yeah, I guess so. There's more going on though. Like there's kind of a bigger war. I mean, I agree with you. That's probably like one part of the story, but the way I look at it, it's almost like Dungeons and Dragons. Like it's almost like an RPG kind of show where there's like one quest and then you move on to the next one. So I think the first one was to get rid of Dracula. And then season 3, I think they did a pretty good job. There was like a portal to hell, and there was like different demon factions and stuff like that. Hey, Jock Nerdy, what's going on? He's saying he's going to check out your video, Nerdpoil. That's very generous. Jock Nerdy's a good guy. He's a good guy. I don't mean to say it's very generous to check out your video. It's just generous that he said it, put it public. So Dracula never came back. No, not for season 2, or season 3, but they keep talking about it as something that's going to happen. And then this season, that was something that kind of was driving the show. So I'm just pressing play on the episode here, and that's a good beer. That's Victory Brewing Sour Monkey or Golden Monkey, Belgian Tripel. Pretty nice beer. No, so it starts off. Yes, Nerdporeal life form. The castle does come back. The castle is a big part of the show. Castle's still in this thing. In fact, Alucard lives there now by himself. And there was a whole subplot. Hold on, try to get the closed captions on here. There was a whole subplot in season 3 with Alucard and this brother and sister couple that were there to like try to get help from him, but they ended up betraying him, I believe. I don't quite remember where that all went, but I do remember it was pretty interesting. Norporial says, according to the Symphony of Night, the castle is like its own entity. Yeah, it kind of has like a life of its own. It's kind of like like an entity is I think a good way to put it. So the episode starts off with Sypha and Belmont, Trevor, and they're fighting like these skeletons, these sort of like sentient skeletons that are they appear to be like, like if you ever played D&D, like skeletons are a pretty standard bad guy. So these are they're kind of like that. They're not that dangerous. Kind of just wipe them out. Jock Nerdy, plug your Streamlabs. Do you mean do you mean Norporial or do you mean me? Because if you mean me, we're watching mine. Anyway, no, so it's like you got these skeletons that they just kind of shatter, like they're pretty like mild enemies, and like Trevor's just flipping through the woods, flipping through the trees, and Sypha is using like her powers and stuff. And it's all really cool visually. Like I think the animation style in this new season kind of elevated a little bit. I think it looks pretty good. It's pretty fun. It's fun action. The only thing is like I don't have anything connected to this fight just yet. So I'm kind of like, okay, it's cool, but I'm not like crazy about it. Oh yeah. Oh, you mean thanks, Jock Nerdy. I appreciate that, brother. Yeah, I probably should. I'm bad at this. The Stream Elements bot is on. Yeah, there we go. There it goes. Bing bong bing. But thank you, Jock Nerdy. Very much appreciated. So okay, so they're fighting all these different skeletons in the woods, and then there's like this wizard who's like commanding them all, which, like I said, very D&D, very RPG fantasy. Like this whole show kind of has a feel of like a tabletop RPG. Like I know there's that vampire tabletop RPG that's pretty popular, and this kind of has that vibe. And I like that. I do. I just, I like story. So it's like they kill the wizard and all the skeletons drop. And okay. And then the thing is, like, the next sequence is kind of the same thing. It's like it starts off like 5 weeks later, and they're fighting these skeletons in the woods, wipe out that wizard. You're like, okay. And then 4 weeks later, they're fighting these big, these sort of monsters that look like they're out of a Guillermo del Toro movie. Look like they're out of Pan's Labyrinth or something. They're all like, yeah. Big like demon things. And then Sypha does this cool thing with the rain, where she turns it into a giant razor blade and just cuts them all in half at one time. It's pretty cool. Like I said, it's still cool. The show is very cool. It's just, let's say I was bored. I just wasn't necessarily like emotionally hooked right out the gate with this new season, at least with this sequence. I like the Alucard stuff probably the most, but this was pretty cool. I mean, it's fucking brutal. Like, I love that about the show. Their poor life form is asking, who's the villain in season 3 and 4? Season 3 was like this coven of vampires, and also there was like this church that was sort of devil worshippers, and were they had like this demon in the basement that was like this kind of trying to open up a portal to hell. I don't quite remember all the details of season 3. I have to go back and rewatch it. I think the recap did a pretty good job. Oh, thank you, Jock Nerdy, for a $5 super chat. Much appreciated, my friend. Here, super chats are good for the algorithm. You small content creators, Fandomenous folks are more important than you know in this culture war. Well, thank you very much, Jock Nerdy. Thank you very much, my friend. You are you're a very vibrant supporter of mine and others. I've seen you on other people's streams and are very generous with your super chats. And I've seen you give gifts to like Ryan Canal and stuff. And thanks, man. I appreciate it. I think, doing this is the coolest thing I've ever done. I love doing it. I think it's, as many voices as can tell the truth, talk shit against the megaliths that run culture and want to destroy it and turn it into something that we don't recognize and we don't love, destroy the things that we do love. And that's what I actually like about this show. That's what I do like about Castlevania, is it doesn't have anything like that. Like, end of season 3, there's a sex scene with Alucard that's a little like eye-raising. Not quite, didn't expect that to go in that direction, but it wasn't woke. Like, it wasn't the kind of thing that was, it didn't feel agenda laden. It didn't feel like it was telling me how to think, telling me to, correcting my politics or something like that. Like, that's something that's really nice about this show. If I'm critiquing it, I'm critiquing writing elements or maybe like a plot point that's not the best. But there's nothing about this show, at least as far as I've noticed, and I am goddamn sensitive to it, that appears to be like woke or agenda driven. I think it's too obscure. I think it's too kind of on the periphery. And that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. We need more of that, I mean, just entertainment for entertainment's sake. And I'm grateful for have it. And I'm excited to watch this new season. I think it's just a fun show. It always flies by. I think every episode's like 20, 25 minutes long. It always cooks. And I go right into the next episode, like pumped up. And thank you very much, Nerdporial Life Form. You guys are very generous tonight. I really appreciate that. Sending me a super sticker. That is pretty cool, man. That is pretty cool. And once again, dude, congrats on your 100 subs. Trying to get my live chat to load so I can see what kind of super sticker you sent me. But thank you very much, brother. Thank you very much. What the hell? Show me the chat. There we go. It's a 1-up. It's a video game 1-up with a hippo. Hungry hippo doing a 1-up. Thank you very much, brother. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate that. Asking me if I've played have I played any of the games? Symphony of the Night is my second favorite action adventure 2D after Super Metroid. Is that, I played the one for Sega Genesis quite a bit when I was a kid. I had the Castlevania Sega Genesis. I used to play that a lot. Loved it. Had a blast with that game. Didn't really like get into the lore too much. I'm not to say like I really knew the show, like the story that well. And in fact, I was kind of hesitant to even watch this show because I was like, is that going to be, a show about Castlevania? Like, what's, is that going to be interesting? And a friend of mine recommended that I watch it. And I was like, okay, I guess on an off chance, I checked it out and I was like, oh my God, epic. Like, so brutal, so much fun, such a just cool, like macabre and no holds barred. Like, they didn't hold back at all. Like, in the first season, when Dracula releases like the demons from hell, they do some damage. They like swoop down with like razor wings, just cutting like kids and women's heads off. You're like, oh my God, they're really going for it. I like to say it's like Metalocalypse, but without the comedy. It's just like a hardcore, brutal show. And I dig it. I dig it a lot. So it's, I think when I looked into it, I did a stream about this show early on in my channel, Nerdporial, before I even had 100 subs, probably when I had, I don't know, 30, maybe. I did it with my friend Lindsay, who had not seen it, and I got her to watch it. And I did a little bit of research, and it turns out that I guess there is a pretty deep and complex lore with the video games and the show that the creators really respected when they made it. They are big fans of the video game series. They grew up on it, and they really respected the lore when they got into making and adapting this into a TV show. And I was like, that is fucking gangster. That is fucking gangster. And it's Warren Ellis too, is the one of the creators, the comic book writer. I know he's famous for Gary mentions him. I hear Gary from Nerdrotic talk about Warren Ellis quite a bit. And I think he actually got kind of canceled recently. I think there was a cancellation with him, like just banging chicks, and he's like, he's using his power. Why else be famous? I don't recognize almost any of the titles that are here in his what's it called, like bibliography. Like, I don't know all this stuff. I've never really seen it. He's done story for a bunch of Marvel animes, like TV stuff, and I know he's a big comic book fan, artist, but I'm not a real big comic book guy. I get into them here and there, but I don't really know them that well, so I can't really like speak. It's just stuff that I'm like, okay, I guess he did some Iron Man stuff. I guess okay. So he did some original series called Transmetropolitan, Global Frequency, and Red. And I guess Red, there's a movie adaptation, stuff like that. I guess I don't know anything about him, but he is one of the guys who I guess it's like written by him. The show is credited as written by him. I think he started off in season 1. I don't think he went through, but anyway, he's a big part of the show. PS1, it's Metroidvania, as you play as Alucard. Yeah, it's pretty dope. Yeah, I never did. I never had a PS1. I had a PS2, but I didn't have a PS1. I used to go to my uncle's house and play Resident Evil and get the shit scared out of me. But I didn't have a PS1. Did not. Instead of level based, it's a single maze game. You need to get certain upgrades to access certain areas. Is it playable experience? Is it fun? Sometimes those old games get kind of tedious, where you're like, oh boy, all right, got to find a key to go get a thing. Like in the game, and I love this game, but in the game Deus Ex, when you have to get like a keypad to open a door, you have to go through your notes and find the actual code. Like, every other game just assumes your character memorized the number. Not that game. You have to go back through your notes and find the actual keypad number and then enter it in. I was like, oh. And I never, when I played it first run, I never had a problem with that. I didn't care. But then, like, I played it last year. I was like, oh, this is kind of tedious. Like, can't you just know the code once you discover it? Like, I don't want to have to go through my notes. Just assume he did that. We don't need to actually do this in real time. But season 1 reminded you of Berserk with all the demons and blood. Yeah. It doesn't slow down like that. The whole show is like that. I mean, this opening episode, pretty gangster. I thought they pulled back a little bit. Like Belmont and Sypha come across this like human sacrifice coven in the woods. And when they get to like this girl who looks like Belle from Beauty and the Beast, they're going to cut her head off, and then they save her right at the last second, which is fine. I mean, they're supposed to, but I think in like season 1 and 2, they would have executed the chick, which, it's a little cooler. I mean, come on, let's be honest. It's a little cooler. Like, I like when the stakes are high. I don't know if you guys watched, what's it called? I don't know if you watched, Invincible, but there were 2 characters in episode 5 that I thought they killed, and I was like, yo, they went for it. Unfortunately, they both survived. Which I was like, it's not like I had anything rooting against those characters. I just wanted the stakes to be high. It's like, that's why I think everyone was gravitated towards Game of Thrones so much, is that, you thought literally anyone could die at any moment because they could. And that really ups the stakes of the storytelling. It makes you really care. I think a lot of shows, it's just kind of like they puss out a little bit. I was like, oh, Just kill her. Kill Monster Girl. That'd be awesome. That would have raised the stakes. But I guess they needed it for the impetus of the plot. But whatever. Whatevs. Yeah, dude, absolutely. Same high stakes as missing in most entertainment, even Mandalorian. Yeah, they're pussies, man. They're all bitch made, bro. Not us. We're hardcore. All right. Let's go back to the show. Yeah, so this is, I guess, is like the third sequence. There was one with the skeletons, one with these sort of those Guillermo del Toro monsters, and now there's a human sacrifice cult in the woods, and that's, I guess, like 3 in a row that Belmont and Sypha come and save, and then there's like one more afterwards. There's like a bunch of like little like goblin things in a field, and they're both exhausted, like they've just had enough. Sypha starts getting pissed off at Belmont for like making her curse and all this shit, and it's kind of having like this, like either they're worn out from all their fighting, and I guess the whole point was because it's kind of painstaking to get there, but the whole point was to illustrate, excuse me, that people are trying to raise Dracula back. Like that was a pull of season 3. Yeah, and it's back in season 4. So I guess the idea is that like we're building towards raising Dracula back from the dead. I don't know if they've established a very good reason as to why, quite frankly, because what would that benefit? You know, like I could understand if the black dude who whips himself from season 1, from the past seasons, if he wanted to resurrect Dracula, like that would align with his goals, but just kind of random cultists wanting to do it, I don't know. But I really tell you, man, this whole game just feels like a tabletop role-playing universe to me. Like I've played a fair amount of tabletop. I've written my own universes, and it just has like the feeling of that like kind of life. You know, where you go to different towns and you don't know what you're going to expect, and there's little cults and little, you know, demons and stuff in pockets of the world. It has that feeling, less random, but it definitely has that feeling, and I get a kick out of that. You know, I like that. I like that it's kind of like a gothic, dark Dungeons and Dragons. You know, these guys you're kind of like leveled up, you know, superheroes. Sypha's like a magician. They call her a speaker magician, and Trevor's this, you know, badass dude with the Morning Star. Is it a mace? I guess that's technically a mace, right? Yeah. And then, you know, Alucard's half vampire. I mean, that would be a fun universe to play in, right? Like, think about yourself as a player. Like, how cool would that be? You know, you're slaying demons and you got to go to these like Eastern European villages and cities, and, you know, Dracula's out there somewhere plotting and you got to overthrow him. Like, that's fun. That's really fun. Nerdporial, you've never played tabletop. You've played Zelda, though. Does that count? No, it does not. Not at all. No, Zelda's tight, but tabletop's tight too, man. Like if you live in a town that has any kind of comic shops or anything that like do a D&D night, recommended, dude. Recommended. That shit is so much fun. Like it's such a cool experience to just hang out with like people and play. Like it's kind of like, it's like a living RPG. Like every RPG got their start in tabletop, in Dungeons and Dragons. Like that was the foundation of everything. So if you ever played like Fallout or Final Fantasy or anything like that, it all started in in Chicago, dude. I'm sure you could find a comic shop or something like that. But they all got their start in the tabletop role-playing game. And the thing that's different about a tabletop versus like an RPG, even an RPG as vibrant as, say, like a Fallout New Vegas, you're not limited by what kind of choices you want to make. You're only limited by the dungeon masters or game masters' imagination. And that's so cool. So if you're like in a tricky situation and you want to like light a cart on fire and then like jump over the wall to escape, like you can do that as long as you have the right, characteristics and you roll well in that situation, you can do it. And it's a much more immersive gaming experience, in my experience, in my point of view, because it's just more active. It's not railroady. It's not like you have to shoot your way out of every situation or you have to just do a speech check. Like even as much as I love Fallout, like there is no gambling on your speech checks. You either can do it or you can't. Whereas in D&D, you might maybe give it a chance, because if you roll on it, you might get a high enough roll to do it, or you might fail. And then based on that outcome affects the future of the game. And it's so much cool. It's so much cooler. It's so organic, and it just flows. And I adore it, dude. I adore it. And tying that back into Castlevania, it has a similar vibe to me. There's a similar vibe of like monsters, like the end of this sequence. So Alucard and Sypha, they wipe out all these bad guys kind of a little easily, in my opinion, which is sort of dull. But eventually they end up in this tomb. I don't know if it's a tomb, but they're back in what's it called? Travel Vista? Something. I think it's called Travel Vista, which is where the whole story starts, with Dracula and his wife being burnt at the stake. And the whole path of where they were going leads them back to this city, and they track down Targo Vista, that's it. Leads them to like this crypt or tomb that these guys are fighting and going down in, and then they have to, fight these bad guys. But he finds this magic dagger in the basement that they were looking for, and so Trevor and Sypha leave with it. And it's like, dude, fucking A, just like tabletop, just like RPGs, magic weapons, you know what I mean? Like has the rune of enchantment or whatever, like in its hilt, and like that kind of stuff. And I dig that kind of shit, man. I think it's really cool. It's really fun. It's very transportative, and it has like an elevated feel. It's really good. That's great. I adore. Yeah, the only thing though is, okay, we are 12 minutes into the episode right now, and that's all that's happened. All that's happened is they've gone from place to place, handily defeated kind of random villains, and they're basically, what they established is some people are trying to bring back Dracula, and maybe this magic dagger will come into play later. Pretty inefficient storytelling, I got to be honest. Especially because we had no context of who they were fighting, and you don't really care. It's just kind of bland, sort of generic action. I mean, they do it well. It's nice and gory and interesting, like creative, like Sypha creating this big razor blade of ice to cut the demons in half is cool. And then, what's in the Belmont, like fighting these vampires and improvising with a broken staff going back and forth. It's tight. It's cool. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's not cool. It just, it lacks a bit of punch if you don't care about the story yet. Like if you're not invested in your characters or the villains they're defeating, it's just not, it doesn't really snap, doesn't pop. So that's kind of, I think that'd be my major criticism of this episode is, 13 minutes out of 25, but 25 includes the credits. So really it's more like 20 or 22. So, 13 minutes of 22 is them handily fighting and defeating villains, and letting us know that Dracula is on the way, and he gets a magic dagger. Like I said, it's not to say it wasn't cool. It's like could have been handled a lot more efficiently. It's not a very pop it off way to start the new season. As much as I hated the last season of The Expanse, shit starts off with asteroids, like stealth asteroids hitting Earth. Boom. Okay, we are into a story. There are stakes. We have a reason to follow our heroes. This is a little impotent. Just kind of static. Doesn't really get there. Plus, there's a lot of characters spread out in different locations. Like you have those two necromancers or whatever, the two guys who can reanimate life. You have one who's like a prisoner of this vampiress, this really hot ginger vampiress, and this other guy who's got an army who's coming for all the betrayers of Dracula. And we didn't see shit from either one of them this episode. All we got was Belmont, Sypha, and Alucard, which is nothing wrong with that. But it's dull if it's not moving the story forward. If it's not getting us anywhere, it's just not incredibly gripping or compelling. Not thrilling, but nice. Yeah. But I will say also, and so, okay, so we have the Trevor and Sypha are leaving the tomb with the magic dagger, which we don't know its significance, but I imagine it'll come into play later. Which is cool. Magic daggers are cool. Have no complaints about magic daggers at Foul Ball Productions, I tell you. Not here. I have no issues with that. So then there's these two other vampires overlooking them leaving. And this is something I like. Once again, the show does pretty well. The one guy is this Cockney vampire who he's kind of got this like arrogance about him and kind of, shine on him, thinks he's really something. And his vampire colleague is Russian and he's wearing like a traditional Russian hat. And that's really cool. Like they've had like Japanese vampires and stuff like that. I like when they explore vampires the world over. I think that's a pretty cool idea. Nerdporial Lifeform asks, like episode 4, like the Sith dagger. No, slightly more interesting than that. Slightly more plausible. It's not a McMuffin to move the story forward. McMuffin. That's a Mauler, EFAP joke. Someone mistook calling a MacGuffin a McMuffin, which is funny. Although they were not using the term MacGuffin properly. Correct example of a MacGuffin is the suitcase in Pulp Fiction. It drives the story, but has no reveal. Like, you don't know what it is. All you know is that it's a thing and it's moving the story forward. So you can endlessly speculate about it if you like, but there is no payoff. That's a MacGuffin. Plot devices that move the story are not MacGuffins, but I think they did a good job. You get it. Holy shit. Jock Nerdy. Damn, dude. Thank you so much. Tipping me $25. God, we need like a Hall of Fame for like supporters in the Fandom Menace who are not not streamers, don't go on camera, but support. Because, bro, you are first ballot. You, Ogre Squasher, fucking Eric K. Eric K. bought my merch. It's just, dude, like, there really does need to be some kind of like ledger of people who have like contributed, because it's like, damn, man, you guys make this all possible. You really do. Because it's the thing. I love doing this. It takes fucking time. It takes a lot of time. I have a job. I have a job. I work a bunch of days a week. And then, also then your normal life, you got to go to the gym. You got to fucking go food shopping, clean your room, that kind of nonsense. Got to do all that stuff. And then, I stream how many days a week. And, you making it financially worth my time is a fucking, so it's a literal blessing, man. So thank you so much. Let me check out your super chat. $25. Thank you, Jock Nerdy. He says, keep executing, never quit. Like I said before, you guys are more important than you know. Man, that sentiment is 100% reciprocated. 100% reciprocated right back at you, dude. You are much more important than you know. I can't tell you how grateful I am that there are guys like you out there. It's fucking awesome. It means a lot. You're the engine that moves this train, dude. You know what I mean? Honestly, I really appreciate that. Thank you, dude. Thank you so very much. So very much. Nerdporial Lifeform is asking, how do you start a merch line? I ordered and gave people Nerdporial mugs. You can just do it on Teespring, dude. You don't even need to do anything. You don't have to like spend any money. Just set up a Teespring. And you upload your designs and kind of tweak them and stuff like that. And that's it. I mean, your profit margins are lower, but to me, not that I really sell that much merch, but it's much more worth it because you'd have to like buy all the different sizes of shirts and then send them off and mail them yourself. It's a whole hassle. So I just, you get it, I don't know, a few bucks a shirt or whatever. Teespring does most of the work and it's so much better. I mean, and merch is kind of, it's more promotion than financial revenue. So yeah, check out Teespring. And there's a lot of different merch sites out there because Teespring kind of canceled Drunk 3PO. So if you don't want to support an evil corporate entity like that, bro. Lord Thoth is joining us. Hello, sir. Haven't watched it yet, but queued it for this weekend. Well, I hope you enjoy, my friend. Hope you enjoy. Lord Thoth is the nerd father. He is the nerd father. He knows all. You know what? I put down Altered Carbon. I got to get back into reading that book. I was having so much fun reading that book. Me and you we gotta collaborate. We gotta coordinate on when we can do some Altered Carbon streams, dude. Because that book is so good, and it's worth it to talk about the show, if only to talk about how damn good the book is. Jock Nergy said it's about targeting your branded. Oh, it's about getting your branded out there. Yeah, it is. It is. I used to work at a bakery in Los Angeles called Hazy Bread. Shouts to Hazy Bread, sourdough bakery, and he used to wear his merch all the time, and it really helped. It made a difference. It validated what he was doing. It kind of gave it a little more, legitimacy, and put it out there. And people said you're a walking billboard at that point. Everywhere you go, people are looking at it, processing it, thinking about it. I got to buy some of my own merch. I really should make a few t-shirts and stuff like that. Maybe some magnets or a sticker for my car, something like that, just to get the word out there. Lord Thoth says, lol, never been called Nerd Father before. Yes, let me reread book 1. Been listening to the audiobook on the way to work. Been reading through the RPG as well. Yes. See? Wealth of information, this Thoth. Wealth of information. We did a few Expanse streams. I guess last year now. God damn. Time flies. But it's been 20 years since you read the first book. Wow. I mean, it had been a while for me too, but it's such a good book. I remembered most of it, to be honest. I remember a lot of it, just different moments and sequences and shit like that. So fucking cool. So good. But I was watching just a few seconds of the show and I was like, oh, they got that wrong. They got that wrong. They got that wrong. I kind of want to go after it with you. So if you have the time, man, you let me know. We'll do it. But Lord Thoth, he knows his shit. He knows his shit. That's what he has the RPG. He knows the books. He knows all his stuff. Thoth is the fucking man. I think when Thoth retires, he will be much more active, an active YouTuber, because he's just so knowledgeable. Do something with that knowledge, my friend. All right, back to the last few minutes of Castlevania Season 4, Ep 1. Right. Me too. A lot wrong. Well, yeah, a lot. In ways that are unnecessary, changing the character, changing things. I'm like, you don't need to do stuff like that. What are you doing? He didn't want to be a smoker. Why are you making him a smoker? He hated it. That was a point of the show, is that he got into, or point of the book, he got into a sleeve that smoked and he didn't like it. And it was a challenge. It was a conflict. And you made it like it was his thing. It's like, oh, God, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're undermining the writing of the book. Then it might be really fun to just destroy Season 2. I don't know if that's getting a Season 3. I doubt it. Is it? Is Altered Carbon getting a Season 3? Altered Carbon Season 3. Oh, it was canceled. Okay. Oh, it was canceled last year. Oh, there's a story by Abby Robinson, why it was really canceled. Oh, I'd love to know what the fuck the reason is. Sure, it's racism. Sure, it's racism, Abby. Couldn't be that the show sucked. I'm projecting so much onto that girl. I have no idea. Whether she said it was racism or not. I just assume you're in the media. You must be a liar. Lord Thoth, Castlevania, as a gamer that loved the game, Season 3 wasn't very good. Now, I enjoyed Season 3 a lot. I thought it was really fun, but I want to go back. I'm robotic. I want to go back and watch it. I want to go back and check it out because I'm not sure. Because I don't know. I just, from my own memory, but I remember when it came out, I was having a blast with it. I was having a blast. Well, you'll definitely get my thoughts on Season 4, because I'm going to do these streams kind of randomly when I can squeeze them in, but I'm going to do them. Pat S wants to know, is this a safe space? It's crazy out there. It's very safe. Very safe. You're going to be held, your hand's going to be held, and your hair is going to be patted, and we're just going to treat you like so nice, like so very nice. Okay. Don't you worry, Pat. Don't you worry. All right. So we're back to Alucard. He's at the castle. I don't know where. Did they establish where? They just showed the exterior of that castle. And I love that castle. I think they did a really good job illustrating that. I like the weird, like asynchronous kind of like spires that just are hanging off the building. They don't have like a bottom support. Like I feel like they're kind of impossible to engineer, but they look really cool. They look great. And I don't know. So he's to the castle's crashed somewhere, and he has like the corpses of the people from the last season who betrayed him, who he vindicated. And he's drunk. I guess he's just been kind of wallowing in his self-pity. And she walks out the door all drunk. And then this body on a horse rolls up on him. And this is when we finally got some plot. Finally. Because all the stuff before was just kind of like suggesting that people are maybe wanting to bring back Dracula. It wasn't exactly a story. It was just kind of like a hemming and hawing. But anyway, Alucard's out front after pissing, drunkenly pissing, and this dead body rolls up on a horse, and he has a message tied to his hand, and he pulls it off, and it's a town. And it's funny because this has the style of the show that I really like. Alucard's reading the message, and it says, "To the Alucard of the castle," and he goes, "I'm the Alucard now." Ugh, okay, to the Alucard of the castle. Like it has that kind of irreverent sense of humor. You know, like I think both Alucard and Trevor just both kind of get like sort of aloof, like annoyed by the common folk kind of vibe, which is so funny. I think what's his name? Just Another Red Shirt said it was anachronistic of the time, and he's probably right. But I do find it to be enjoyable. So, you know, I can let something like that. I can forgive something like that. You know, I don't need it to be historically accurate. It's, you know, especially if it's fun. Yeah, like it literally says in the subtitles as he's looking at the map, says scoffs. Says he scoffs as he looks at the map, which is funny. But he ultimately, I get the impression that he wants to help them, which to me, this is finally a plot. This is finally story. There's a town in need. He's been wallowing away in his castle, not doing anything. And now there's a call to action. You know, this is a story. This is where there's a call to action, and he's wrestling with whether he's going to answer the call. I mean, that's storytelling. So finally, we got that. Everything with what's it called? Alucard. Trevor and Sypha. Not really. Kind of backstory, establishing stuff. I don't know. Sometimes the animation in this show is utterly beautiful, and I think they upped it on this one. I like that it has like a Japanese anime style, like, but it's a little different. Like it's a little more. It's just unique. It has just the right touch on it. I like it a lot. I really like their style. Gothic, you know, kind of epic feeling, like a bit like Frank Frazetta. You know, kind of has that vibe. Sort of like heavy metal. You know, sort of big proportions. I think it looks really good, but grounded. You know, there's a lifelike quality to it that I enjoy. Yeah, Lord Thaw says he loves the animation. It's really good. It's really good. You know, it's fun. I'm not like a stickler for like super high quality animation. Like I can enjoy things if they're not beautiful, but this just adds to it. Also because the stakes of the show are really high, you know, with the end of humanity and like, you know, vampires, and like it's got that kind of, if it had like shittier animation, I think it would really kind of undercut it. You know, the fact that it's like this big gothic castle, and it really has a texture to it. It feels nice, and everything looks good. It's not lazy. It looks, it looks epic, and it has just enough, what's the word? Like fantasy vibes. Like it has that. It feels like a video game. It feels like a fantasy world. It doesn't have like it doesn't have like anything too. It doesn't take itself too seriously. It's just enough to enjoy it. But anyway, so Alucard decides, I think eventually it's implied, it doesn't say that, but it's implied that he's going to go help the town. And he says, he looks into the mirror as he's like deciding this, and he says, "Fuck, I'm turning into you, Belmont." And I was like, "All right, cool. So the boys are back in town, like they're back to the squad's back together. They're gonna go, not really, but you're probably gonna link back up, hopefully. And I don't know. We're probably gonna see Dracula again this season. That's probably where it's leading, because it's like they hinted at it in the trailer, and then they talked about it like for the first like 15, 20 minutes in this most recent episode. So probably that's where it's going. I don't know how that's going to pay off, because I'm usually more of a fan of writing a new villain than bringing back the old one. But I will see. I don't know. I know Thoth said he doesn't like season 3. I've had no issues with this show as far as it's gone on. I maybe I was too forgiving because I was just kind of in. I don't know. But I've liked it so far. So I'm going to definitely stick with it. And I think I'm going to cover every episode. I can't guarantee when I'll do it, but I'm going to try to do it, try to squeeze it in here and there. Cause I have so many other things going on, but this is fun. I mean, this is like 45 minutes. I can bang this out, here and there. Where are we? Pat S says, I like different animation. I'll watch old 30s and 40s like a crazy person. Oh, that's cool. We were streaming yesterday. Check this episode out if you haven't, on Vigilante Williamson's channel. We had Tom from Midnight's Edge. We were doing our show, Culture Crime Fighters, which we do every Wednesday. We had Tom from Midnight's Edge who was on there. It was really fun. But I was looking at art. From this, this 1970s, I think, or 80s French like graphic novel, and I guess it was the same people that did Heavy Metal. Dude, it was beautiful. I was just browsing the art. I'll show you guys real quick. It's called Arzak, I guess, Mobius. But man, I really liked it. I thought it was really super fun. I bet Thoth knows it. He knows everything. But it just had this really great style. It was like sci-fi but fantasy, and it just had this very otherworldly feel. And I thought it was really great. Like, I was really interested. And I tried to find a copy of this fucking thing, and I couldn't find even like an electronic copy in English. Like, there's, oh, that's funny. That's like a crossover with Akira. That's funny. But I couldn't find like an English copy even on Kindle. And then they were like, the only English copies I found were like $200 or some shit. I was like, oh, I mean, come on, listen, I'm curious. I'm not that curious. But I like the frames. I like how stripped down the frames are. I like it's not too busy. It just looks really good. Like I'm really just curious about this this world building. I think it looks really good. So, just speaking of interesting art, it's pretty dope. All right, later, Thoth. Good to see you. I'm wrapping this up anyway. This was great, guys. Thank you guys for hanging out. Jock Nerdy, man, thank you so much for your fucking unbelievable generosity. And Nerdporial Lifeform, thank you so much for your super sticker. And everyone check out the Nerdporial Lifeform's channel. He just crossed the threshold of 100 subs, which is one of the most significant hurdles for a new YouTuber. So congratulations on that. Everybody check that out. And I'll see you guys all in the next one. You have a great night.